seemed in your district be focusing on central issues of need and getting some results. You have a reputation of vitality, and tell me how you're able to effectuate that.
I just work very, very hard. I'm up at 6:30 in the morning, sometimes earlier than that. When we're not in session, I run a small business also, so I have to try to balance the two. And I spend a lot of hours a day, and people used to get on me about working too much, and then I got married and my wife wouldn't let me work so much. But what happens is now is I spend about 40 hours a week on my work stuff and 40 hours a week on my delegate stuff, and a lot of it's constituent services, helping somebody with driver's license issues at DMV, or getting somebody's road plowed after a snowstorm. A lot of local type of issues, a lot of constituent type of issues, and those are important and they take up time. But I enjoy doing them because they really do make a difference. And then looking at the policy side of things and planning long term, we have already started, and last year around this time we started generating a list of ideas for legislative proposals that we would submit now. And the same way, assuming I'm blessed to be reelected by the people of my district, we're planning for next year as well. Right now, and getting ready to prepare for everything that we need. And the ideas, and doing our filtering and trying to figure out what we think is important, listening to constituents. We've had town hall meetings. We actually had 3, I think, in 2004. We also did a mobile office where we traveled around the district, made 3 stops in various places, and opened our doors for business. We're having, for the first time ever, the 52nd District is having 52nd District Constituent Day on February 21st. If anyone's interested in coming, they can call our office.
How does that operate?
We're inviting all the constituents of the 52nd District that wish to come on President's Day. Not everybody has the day off, but a lot of people do, and so we thought that would be a good opportunity to have it. As you know, the General Assembly, when we're in session, we don't stop for any holidays, and often sometimes on weekends we'll be in session this Saturday. But February 21st, we've named 52nd District Constituent Day in Richmond. We're inviting everybody to come down with their family and see how the legislative process works firsthand. We'll start off in the morning with a welcome reception, and then an opportunity for me to meet with our constituents, and also for people to meet the Speaker of the House, Delegate Howe.
Bill Howe will be with you.
That's right, he'll be with us. And then we've reserved gallery seating in the House so they can watch the morning hour, and they're welcome to stay as long as they want. But some people might get a little bored after too long. And then a tour of the Capitol, and then hopefully if we're done on the floor, then I'll take everybody out onto the House floor and let them have an opportunity to walk around and see where we do all the people's business.
Who are some of the people in your district that have been that you've been working with that have had an impact on your life?
Well, a lot of people, and it's not the big names that you might know of. It's some of the people that have really touched my heart by the dedication that they've shown to our mutual effort, to our mutual interests. Republicans and Democrats, frankly. I've got a lot of great Democrats in my district that I really enjoy working with, and that we have some values that we share, and we work towards those. A lot of folks are praying for me. A lot of folks are sending me that $10 check that really means a lot when they can't afford a lot of other things. But I really admire the relationship that we have with our local Board of Supervisors and with our school board, and in our delegation as well, the Prince William delegation. We all work very well together, and I think that that's a testament to the good government's philosophy coming from Prince William County. And as we've seen, Prince William County is topping the charts in just about every category, and so we must be doing something right.
Tell me about money issues or budget.
Well, the budget in Virginia has got some big problems, and I was disappointed to hear the governor in his State of the Commonwealth address say that we achieved budget reform in Virginia last year, because that couldn't be further from the truth. We did no budget reform. All we really did was raise taxes. And it's interesting because I've had the opportunity to go around to groups, particularly over the summer after the tax fight had occurred and been done with. And I met with some folks that were some business interests that were very much in favor and still are in favor of tax increases, this group particularly in favor of a tax increase for transportation. But these are generally Republican conservative-leaning voters. They feel like that we need to have more revenue, and I point out something to them. I ask them, they're all small businessmen, so they know what it's like to run a small business, and I say, what happens if you were running your business off of a 1971 base budget? And they look around and they think, we'd be out of business. Give us 6 months. We're out of business after 6 months, for sure. And I say, well, Virginia's running on a 1971 base budget, but you know what? It doesn't have to go out of business because it doesn't have to do anything but go out and ask the taxpayer for more money, and then it continues to survive. It doesn't have the incentive that private businesses and small businesses have to have every day to be better, faster, and cheaper, to do things more competitively, to watch that bottom line every single day and to make sure that you're squeezing every penny for everything that it's worth. There's no culture like that in government that you find in the private sector. And so that incentive to do budget reform, that incentive to find creative solutions to problems, that incentive to find new ways of doing things is not there because they can just go back and they can ask the taxpayer for more money and put the hard work off. And so I'm very engaged in this. I'm just a freshman with only a year experience so far, I guess a year and a month now, experience in the General Assembly, but this has become one of my big issues, one of my big priorities in trying to really talk about this budget reform and how much we need it. Because I'm confident when we do real budget reform, we'll find money for the priorities of the people. And that's another point of all this, is that right now we don't budget priorities. Transportation is a top priority among most Virginians, and yet we don't fund it as a top priority. Education is also a top priority, and we've just started to kind of get that into the priority funding that it deserves. And keeping taxes low, that's also a priority. Making sure that we're doing business well in the Commonwealth, and we're really not in terms of how we spend the people's dollar. And so I think that one thing that I'm working on is an alternative budget project, because with the limited resources we have, we're only given one administrative aide, and then I've been blessed to have some volunteers that help out quite a bit, and some pretty smart ones at that. But we have very limited staff resources, and so being able to take on big projects like this is not that easy. The rest of our resources are shared, and frankly, a lot of the legislative institutions have their own agendas and how they think things should be done, and so we're not necessarily going to get the change that we want out of them because they have their own interests to preserve. But we are going to move forward with an alternative budget project so that we do have an opportunity to say, here's our plan. Although it's a long-term project, it's going to probably happen over the next year at the minimum. But at least we'll be able to put our ideas on the table, and whether they fly or they crash, at least there'll be ideas there that people can talk about and they can dissect and they can criticize or they can compliment, but we'll be talking about it because we're really not talking about it right now, and I think it's important to have that discussion.
Tell me about the trust factor of your constituents in the budget.
Well, it's interesting because people often ask me, after having been here, what is one of my biggest surprises, or what's one of the biggest things that I learned or found out. And one of the things that I've been most surprised about is how quickly some people up here will disregard the promises and the trust that they made with the people. When I ran for office, I made my promises very clear. I outlined what I wanted to do. I outlined what I thought. I said, if you don't agree with me, that's fine on everything, but at least you know where I stand. I think that's important because not everybody's going to agree about everything all the time. That's just not realistic. But I think it's important that you know where people stand and that they do what they say they're going to do, and I've done that. I haven't achieved all of my goals. Goals take a long time to achieve around here, but I'm working towards those goals, and I'm doing everything that I promised that I would do. And it's been frustrating to me to see how fast, again, people will disregard the promises that they made with the people after having just been elected. And in many cases, they disregarded the trust that they made with the people that elected them within a couple months. And that's very discouraging to me. But I'm hoping that I can be an example to others, that it's important to, again, to do what you say and mean what you say.
Tell me about